All right, are we ready to have some fun? Get your brains revved up. Some of this stuff it's not hard. There's just a lot, and it takes, a little bit to get it to sink in. And so let's get going. So currently we've got all the projects showing up in just one big list, and this is 25. If we had 100 projects or 300 projects or whatever, they're all just going to come into the list. And if you have photos attached to them, if you have other stuff, it can get really slow to try to bring in a huge list altogether and get it loaded up. We want this to be reactive, right? See what I did there? And so we want it to be fast. And we also don't want, we want to be able to, you've seen it, like just to have pages and go to different pages instead of, just having one big giant list. And so that's what we're going to work on. Let's see if we can get this to where it goes by pages. And currently we're just selecting all. And so in link, so let's go back to .NET. So in link, which by the way, hopefully you recognize that we could edit it here if we wanted to go into our controllers and into our water controller, we can edit the code in Visual Studio Code. And maybe we'll do that for this one just for fun. All right, so in Visual Studio Code, I can come in and edit. And like I say, currently what we're doing is we're getting the entire list of all the projects. Well, we can do that, but something we can do is we can come in and say, I only want to take 5. So that's a command, is to only take 5. And that means just get the first 5, right? Now, this is why it's kind of nice to have them up side by side, because now, in order to run it, I'm going to have to change folders into the backend folder and do a .NET run, and then I'll have to come back here. And so even though I can edit here and make small changes and everything, it is nice to have the two programs up side by side. So I saved that, so it should show up over here on this side, and it does. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this from running. So Command-C, and I'm going to do another .NET run. Any changes you make to the program CS, controllers, whatnot, almost always you have to restart the server. So I'm going to restart the server. And then once I've restarted the server, then even though I'm running over here, I need to refresh the page to go get that new connection, because now React is constantly watching, but it's not looking to see if different data has come in. This use effect that we wrote in React, wherever we went, I'm going to close this. I like having the two programs open. I just wanted to show you can edit in the other one. In this use effect, it's going to look for changes in the DOM in order to be triggered. So as soon as something changes in the DOM, the user enters something, or something's updated or whatever, then it does that use effect. But it's not going to go look at the server and see if that data changed until we trigger that. And so that's why we need to refresh. So I refreshed over here, and now we only get 5 projects. And we could say in the .NET side, we could say take 2 and save that. Well, again, we gotta stop it from running, run it again. Doesn't that get kind of annoying? It does, right? So we can actually run, I'm going to show you a different command here. Well, let's look at this and then I'll do it. So if I refresh here, we only see 2 projects now. And then what I was going to show you is if we want to, we can stop that from running, and we can run a different command. We can say .NET watch run. And if we say .NET watch run, it will watch for any changes. So now when I make this next change, it's going to refresh that server once it gets going. So this, again, watch what happens down here as I start making changes. So the other thing we can do is not just take, so again, I can say take, 10 or whatever, take 10 projects. Well, let's do 2 because it'll make it more obvious. But I can say, and skip, well, before we take 2, so here, let's skip the first 3 and then take 2. So this is going to skip the first 3 entries in the list and then take the next 2 and put those into a list. And so if we look at what was up there before, we have St. Paul's Roman Catholic Primary School and Lungi Tintafor, saying those in a very American way. I'll save this. Now when I save it, it updates. It says file was updated, hot reload succeeded. So then over here, I can refresh and it'll pop in the next 2 schools. So it skipped 3 and then it took the next 2. And so this gives us the ability to go in and customize to be able to have these pages. So I'm going to put in here, let's skip 10 and take 5. If I do that, just think in your head, what am I doing there? So if we're getting 5 at a time, this is going to skip ahead 10 projects. And then over here, when we get this, we're going to get 5 projects, but it's going to be starting with number 10. Does that make sense? So we can use the skip and take very conveniently to get us to different pages. Well, how do we get the information from... So on the page, obviously I can go in and maybe I ought to do this part first. This is getting out of order of my notes, which we know never goes good, but I'm going to do it anyway because I have some time left in this video. So I can, down at the bottom after I've printed out all these projects, so after this closing brace, I can come in and say, well, let's do a break tag, and then I'm going to have here a select option. So I'm going to say select, well, let's do this. Let's put this inside a label. That's the way I did it. And inside the label, the label's going to say how many results do you want per page, and then in there I can then have a select option. So select, and for now I won't put anything in that initial value, but then I'll put in different options. So I'll have an option tag in here, and this option will be 5. We'll have one option that will be 10 if they want to see 10 at a time, or option 20 if they want to see 20 projects at a time. And then for each of these, I'll just pop in a value so we know what they're selecting. So in this case, the value is going to be a 5. In this case, the value is going to be a 10. In this case, the value is going to be a 20. So we save that, we go back to our project, and now at the bottom, we should have a little box that we can drop down and select a 10 or a 20 to tell how many projects we want to see at a time. Does that make sense? All right, so let's see if there's anything else I wanted to do before we get to the next video. And I think that's it. So we've got this little option box in here. We want to go make it so when we choose 10, it goes and tells the results we want to have 10 of these instead. And then we're also going to add in eventually page 1, page 2, page 3 with previous and next, like you would typically see on a website. That's our goal for this little phase that we're going to work on. So we'll start that process, or we'll continue that process in the next video. Spencer out.